When I started in the industry back in 1987, people told me the largest decision that a person was ever going to make was what home to buy. I'm here to tell you, 34 years later, the largest decision that a working couple will make is usually when to take Social Security. Do you know how much you get if you wait? Do you know how much you lose if you take it at the wrong time? Join us on Consider This program today. We'll talk about that and the Retirement V for Victory. Well, good morning and welcome back to Consider This program. I am your host, Joe Clark.
And I'm Jamie Burton.
Jamie, we are happy to have you along, and congratulations to you for taking the time to listen to the program today. You know, the idea, the search for financial wisdom in education is not everybody has it, right? Not everybody has money, and not everybody has the desire to learn. So thank you for taking the time. We hope you enjoy the show. If you got questions or comments, you can always go to considerthisprogram.com or yourlifeafterwork.com and give us your insight. The theme for the whole show today, remember there's 4 segments. If you're listening on WIBC, you only get 3. You may want to go to the website to get the 4th, or our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple or any of the platforms that are out there. We are on all of them, and I think we probably have more listeners on the podcast than we do on regular radio. Regardless, we're talking about timing and when is the best time to take Social Security. So, Jamie, when can I sign up?
You can take Social Security earliest at the age of 62.
And why shouldn't I?
Because if you you have your full retirement age, it's called your primary insurance amount. If every year that you take it early, you lose 6% of benefit.
What's early?
62 to your full retirement age.
Which is what? When's my full retirement age?
66 and
67.
Yours is 67?
We're pretty much to the point where all of us are at 67 now, right? So, and it will, by the time you get there, it will probably change again. No, if we would have left Social Security alone, right? Just a little, little whatever you want to call this is, if we'd have left Social Security alone, in one of 3 ways. First of all, when Social Security was first enacted, the life expectancy was less than the age you could get it, right? We would have been okay if we'd have just adjusted with life expectancy. Sure. Number 2, in the middle of the 70s, when we had all this inflation stuff we talked about, that's when they added the COLA, the cost of living allowance, right?
Yep.
If they'd have just left that alone, right? But I do believe the full retirement age, the full retirement age for me is 67. What do I get if I wait, and how long can I wait?
So you can wait till age 70, and each year that you wait from your full retirement age to age 70, you gain 8% of benefit each year.
8%. Just think about that. And we're not talking about 8% appreciation of an asset that goes upsies and downsies, right? This is 8% more income. 8% more income. Just think about that, right? So the way I always look at Social Security, and the way I tell everybody, is if you believe you will die on time, that means you're at 62, and you can make it to 84 and a half, right? That would be your life expectancy from 62 per the insurance companies. If you agree to die on time, if you believe the tax rates won't change, and if you have no other assets, right? Then it doesn't matter when you take it at all.
Sure.
Right? But for those of you who do believe that Social Security is going to be around because the government can print money, don't forget that, that believe that the tax rates may change, right? And you can figure out whether you think it's higher or lower with the $3.2 trillion infrastructure deal that we're working on. If you have other assets, which most of you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the show, if you believe those, then you've got to get out of the silo and start thinking about Social Security in an entirely different direction in terms of when you take it. And the difference, we're not talking about high income earners here. The one we looked at the other day, the difference between a husband and wife taking it at 62 and waiting until age 70 was over $500,000. And I would argue that there are not a lot of people in central Indiana that have $500,000 houses, right? I mean, this is a big ticket item. It really is. You got it, and you really, really, really do have to get it right. All right. So let's talk about what do you tell somebody? Because I'm going to put you on the spot. And I'm not going to ask your age because that wouldn't be appropriate. I know, but they don't have to know. What do you tell somebody that's less than 40 years old about whether or not they should expect to have Social Security or not have Social Security?
Yeah. So most likely Social Security is still going to be around. It's one of those things, like you said, the government can print money. There's a good chance that some of the rules around Social Security will change, but we're just not going to not have Social Security altogether. So currently up to 80% of your Social Security can be taxed.
85,
sorry. So that they can increase that percentage to get more of their taxes and that sort of thing. So most likely those will change before they just get rid of Social Security altogether.
How much was originally taxable? Do you remember? Nada, squatta, zero, right? And then we went to 50%. Now it's up to 85%. So that when you talk about those changes, that is one of those things. And this is a very, very important thing in taxes that, and this is why I have my team. I know this. I teach this stuff, right? But Darren caught me on it the other day in a meeting. And, Darren's my associate advisor. And I was looking at somebody for the Medicare threshold for the premium for the Part B, which is not as high as the 22% tax bracket, right? So you really have to make sure how much income you recognize. And we both said, hey, it's based on Magi. It is based on Magi, but 100% of Social Security income goes into that, right?
Yep.
And they were over the threshold by $3,000 or $4,000 that, honestly, I probably would have missed, which is why we have a planning team, to be able to go, hey, what about this, right? I mean, we've got to be on the same page. You've got to have more than one set of eyes looking at this. There's nothing we could have done about it. They took the income. Right? They recognize the income. They're going to pay it, but it's going to cost them about $3,000 a year in Medicare Part B premiums, simply because they didn't understand the tax code. So let's review. They took $3,000 out. And it's going to cost them $3,000 for the next 2 years, each year. Right? It's kind of like, this was probably not the best plan, right? But this is why it's so important to understand what that income strategy is before you get to the end of the year. Right? All right. So why do people take it at 62?
A lot of people make these decisions based off of emotions. They look at Social Security as a silo rather than looking at the whole financial picture. So, Joe, you and I are from a farming community. So think of it as a large farm operation. So say you have $5,000 or 5,000 acres that you are farming right now. You're not going to go to a 200-acre farm and make decisions based on that farm alone without considering the whole operation. That's what people tend to do when they look at Social Security. They think, well, I've paid into this my whole working life. I want to be able to make sure that I get my benefit out of it. So I'm going to take it early and get what I can out of it. They really need to take a step back, look at the full picture instead of this one piece to really make the best decision on when they should take it.
So we talked to him about retirement, V for victory. What is that all about?
Yeah. So what we look at is the assets that people have accumulated and Social Security together. So what we tend to recommend based on somebody's health and their life expectancy and their families is they have this bucket of money that's tax deferred. We have them take income out of their tax deferred bucket, start spending that money down to let their Social Security grow. And then when they get to age 70 and start taking Social Security, that allows for them to take less out of their bucket of money that they've saved and allows that to grow back up. So it looks like a V there.
It's supposed to look like that. Now, here's the problem. I am very, very worried about our culture right now. We have, as humans, we tend to extrapolate, right? So market goes up 3 years in a row or 3 months in a row, and people extrapolate how long until they're billionaires, right? Or the market goes down 3 months in a row or 3 quarters in a row, and they begin to extrapolate how long until they're out of a house, right? We can't do that. And what's happened is the last 5 or 6 years, the market has been so strong, even through a pandemic, right, that we haven't seen the V actually have to come into play. But what happens, and I just saw somebody, I did a family update earlier today. The people came in, they're going to have about $1.8 million. And so in their mind, at age 62 or at age 65, in their mind, they weren't going to take Social Security at 62. They were going to take it at 65, right? So they had 2 years where they lost 6% each, right? And because of the 6% decline. But they were going to take it because they knew, they'd heard me on this show say, here's how much money you can take out of $1.8 million at 65. And it was about a $45,000 shortfall. And all you have to do is click on Social Security and suddenly they have it, right? Remember, we have a huge There's just this inability to take money out to have the account go down in value. And people don't understand when they're taking money out of Social Security that they're pulling the account down in value if they take it early because of the amount of money that's showing up. They're still getting the check. And you've got this engine that is providing you that Social Security net, right? And you want to wait as long as you can before you tap that net. I'm just telling you, unless there's something wrong with your health or unless there's something wrong with the tax code, something's changed that we don't know about. I mean, there are issues and conditions where you have to come back in and go, okay, well, this is a different scenario. But in this case, we told them, hey, you're going to take $80,000 a year out of your investments. You're going to take $40,000 a year extra out of your investments. In theory, the investment should fall. That's the declining part, the first part of the V, right? You're going to reach 70, assuming you're still in good health. The rules haven't changed, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're going to be able to take a lot less money out of your IRA or your 401k. It's going to be able to grow back up. You've got the same income because we got Social Security. Bada boom, bada bing, right? This is how you make that ticket work. Mm-hmm. And that is the retirement V for victory. It requires a little bit of finessing. It requires understanding tax planning. It requires understanding investment planning. And it understands patience and due diligence and things that go on. So I will always tell you, if you listen to me carefully, if you want to do this on your own, it is your business. If you're looking for a fiduciary, that is our business. But I would be very, very, very careful about doing this without having somebody provide guidance that knows what's going on. Just because somebody is in the financial services industry, by the way, does not mean they necessarily understand everything that we just laid out. There is a reason there are 38 people on the Financial Enhancement Group team. And that's because yours truly does not have all of the answers. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what you don't know. That's called the double curse of knowledge. And the reverse is true, right? You don't know what you don't know either. And the problem is, if we don't get this right, you only get one shot at retirement. It's why I used to have a cooking show, right? I could make anything I wanted to make, and if I got it bad, and every now and then I did, right? I mean, if it was bad, I could order pizza, right? You get one shot at retirement, folks. Don't blow this. Go to yourlifeafterwork.com. Get signed up for a Next Steps meeting. It's complimentary. It's 90 minutes. Jamie or somebody on the advisory team is more than happy to sit down with you. We'll give you things to consider today, things to consider in the future, and what FEG will do for you if we choose to partner together.